Hello Trailblazers, and welcome to a new video of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud. In this video, it's all about Automation Studio. So what is the Automation Studio in Salesforce Marketing Cloud? Well, it is the place where you handle all your background processes. Think of it as the engine that keeps your data moving and your campaigns running automatically. From here, you can build automations that run on a schedule or based on a trigger. Inside an automation, you'll see a series of steps, and each step is called an activity. And these activities define what the automation actually does. So, let's go through some of the most common ones you will use. So, first you choose the starting source. You can choose of a schedule, a file drop, and a trigger starting source. The schedule you'll choose when you want to start your automation based on the time and the day. The file drop you can choose when you want to start the automation based on a file that is saved on the enhanced SFTP. So that's the SFTP of the Marketing Cloud. And a trigger you can choose when, for example, a person filled in a form and then the automation should be triggered. So for this video, we will choose the schedule starting source. You just click and drag and drop it over here. Then you can configure it and you can say, okay, let's start it on the 16th of April. You can choose a time. And the nice thing is now that the Marketing Cloud is giving us information back that it's not the proper time to run this automation. And then you can say, okay, use the recommended time. You can select the time zone and you can say if it should be repeated, like minutes or hours or daily, even yearly, or just none, which means that it will run once. So we will choose daily. Then we can set up the end. We can say after a run of 1, it will stop. But we can also say never stop this automation. So for internally, it will repeat this automation every day. Click done. So when we finished the starting source, we can select our activities. I will not cover every activity in this video, but I will show you the most common one. So first is the data import or data copy. This is what you use when you want to bring data into the Marketing Cloud or move data between data extensions. For example, you might import a file from an external system or copy data from one table to another. You will typically use this at the beginning of an automation when you're preparing your data. Next up is file transfer. This activity is used when you're working with files on the FTP. So for example, if a file is dropped on the FTP, you can move it, unzip it, or decrypt it before using it. It's often combined with an import activity right after. One of the most important activities is the SQL query activity. This is where you can transform or filter your data. You can write an SQL query to segment your audience, combine data sources, or create a new data extension with filtered data. If you're doing any kind of targeting or segmentation, this is something you will use a lot. Then we have the script activity. This allows you to run server-side JavaScript. You can use it for more advanced logic, like updating records, making API calls, or handling complex data operations. This is usually used when standard activities aren't flexible enough. Next is the send email activity. This lets you send an email directly from an automation. It's typically used for operation emails like confirmations or internal notifications rather than large campaign sends. You just select your email and audience, and the automation takes care of the rest. And finally, we have the verification activity. This is used to check whether your data meets certain conditions before continuing. For example, you can verify if a data extension contains records. If the condition isn't met, you can stop the automation or take a different path. This helps prevent errors and makes your automations more reliable. So now you saw the most common activities. Let's try to create our first automation. So to create an automation with activities in it, you have basically two options to do this. The first one is just to select your activity, drag and drop it on the canvas, click choose, and here you can create a new query activity. Just put in the name, give the folder location, and follow the steps. The second one is just to go to the Activities tab over here, the activity menu at the top, and here you can create your activity. When you're done, you just click the Choose button over here, navigate to your folder, and select your activity. I've prepared a very small query for you, and you will find it also on GitHub. I will put the link in the description. Now let's create a second step. The second step will be a verification step. Click Configure. And here we don't find any data extension. And that is because it's selected as in this automation, but we don't have any data extension connected to this automation. So instead of choosing in this automation, we select all, and then we can just navigate to our folder. Here you can select your desired data extension. We will choose the Salesforce Marketing Cloud DevHub import. Now let's select some conditions. First of all, the count. We say is, then is less than, and we select 1. Meaning, if there are 0 records in the data extension, we will stop the automation. You can select it over here. As a second option, we can select send email notification, and we put in some recipient email addresses. So when this activity is activated, so the journey of the automation will stop, we will receive a notification, but we will deselect it. Select next and finish this step. So the last step in this automation will be an email send. Drag and drop the send email. I also prepared this one, so I can click choose and I can select my desired email. So what do we have? In the first step, he will run the query. Let's see what the query does. So it says, I will select all my fields from the Salesforce Marketing Cloud DevHub import, which is this data extension. Next step will be a verification. This query has as a target data extension the Salesforce Marketing DevHub. So it takes all the records from the import data extension and store it in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud DevHub. When there is a record found, at least one, then it will go to the next step and send out the email. The nice thing of Automation Studio is you can test it before you activate it. So as you can see over here, this automation is not activated, but we can do a run once, what basically means that we manually runs the automation once. You can just select one step, 2 steps, or basically select all activities. For this case, we select all activities and click run once, run now. So what the Marketing Cloud does is running this automation. Right now you don't see anything, but when we click on the activity tab over here, you will see that this automation is processing. And after a few seconds or minutes, depending entirely on your activities, the automation will be finished. In our case, the automation only performed 2 steps. The first step, the query, was completely successful. You can recognize the successful step by the green color. The second step was also completed successfully, but this step caused the automation to stop. You can see this because the third step is gray, which means it did not run. That makes sense because no data was found in the data extension from which we wanted to move the data. We can see that over here. 0 records. Now let's make a small adjustment to see what automation does next and whether it will execute the final step this time. So first, let's go back to the Salesforce Marketing Cloud DevHub import. We go to records, add a record, put in the subscriber key, put in the email address, first name, and a last name. We hit save, go back to Automation Studio, click Run Once, select all activities, and see what happened. And there you go. The automation is complete and every step is green, which means every step has run successfully. So, to summarize, the first step, we made a query where we take every record from the Salesforce Marketing Cloud DevHub import data extension. We stored it in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud DevHub data extension. The second step was the verification step to see if there's any record there. If not, we stop the automation automatically. If there's data, we go to the last step, so we can send the email to the proper data. And that brings us to the end of this video tutorial, a first introduction to Automation Studio. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and I'll see you next time.